down 4, under 3 minutes to go on the road in Dallas, and somehow Jonathan Kuminga's in the game. Ball gets swung to him in the corner, takes a rhythm dribble, knocks it down, doesn't even blink. I think that gave us a glimpse into Jonathan Kuminga's his mentality, right? You think about the scenario. He's been on this tight leash trying to crack the rotation, right? Being told to look to drive the basket, not necessarily shoot from the perimeter, right? Clutch moment. Steph's on the floor. And again, no hesitation. He just takes the shot and makes it. And all of a sudden, it's almost like a light bulb went off. Something has clicked with Kuminga in the last few games. The double-double and what Steve Kerr called his best game he's ever seen him play in Dallas. What did he have? 14 and 10, right? And he played down the stretch, clutch minutes, the rebounding, everything. It's exciting. It's exciting news for Dub Nation, right? Now, you've heard Steve Kerr before mention the blueprint that he would like for Kuminga to follow is Shawn Marion, the Matrix. 7 seconds or less, the Suns. He ended up winning a ring with that Mavericks team, didn't he? Right? Shawn Marion was a unique athlete, man. When I think of him, I think of his ability to get off the floor at an elite level. Super quick jumper, first, second, third jumps, really high motor, length, had a unique wiry frame, right? He just moved almost a little foreign, right? And I mean that as a compliment. And he was this role-playing all-star for this Suns team, the Steve Nash MVP years, where he just filled in the blanks, right? And that's the recipe they're trying to get Kuminga to follow. Listen, defend, rebound, and run. And the rest will take care of itself, right? The funny thing is, the irony in that is, if you remember Shawn Marion, who not only a unique athlete, he's kind of a quirky dude is the term I'll use. During that Suns run, he was always displeased with his role or recognition for his role, right? He made several all-star games. He's a guy that would give you 20 and 10, right? But they didn't call plays for him. And he did it. And that's what was so appealing really about his style of play. He could do it within the flow of the offense and contribute. Didn't have to worry about him, but he always wanted more recognition. And I think he wanted more touches, more freedom within the offense. He eventually moved on to Dallas. Was he in Miami? And, as he became more of a real role player, like in the true sense of being a role player, not an all-star role player later in his career. So that's a unique thing. But for Kuminga, man, again, the recipe, defend, rebound, and run. When you look at Kuminga, though, I think he's even more special of an athlete than Marion. And that's saying something. Again, because Marion's a very good athlete. Kuminga, I think he's similar to Andre Iguodala in the sense of he has this perfect combination of length and strength. And he's strong enough where you can't blow through him, right? But he's long enough where you can't shoot over him. And the quickness, agility, and speed, right? That speed, he's able to elevate without any gather or step. It's like a hurdler, right? On the track field. There's no gather, there's no chopping of the feet. He just levitates into the air, and you see him just startle people with his elevation, right? And then the apex is crazy as well. But that combination of strength and length with his agility is something that Andre had in his prime. And it's a unique trait. It's a unique combination to have in this league. I'll give you Mikal Bridges as an example of one of these lanky defenders, an all defensive team guy by all accounts, right? But he's a little light in the britches. He's not quite strong enough to put in front of Luka, Kawhi, or LeBron, right? He's better off with smaller guards, right? And then you have bigger, stronger guys who can hold the bigger wings, but not necessarily stay in front of the quicker guys. I think Kuminga, at least on paper, in theory, has the potential to do all of the above, to truly be one of these toolsy defender, versatile wing guys. I don't think the question is, can he do it? It's, is he going to buy into it? Does he want to do it? right? And when he came, you watched him in the G League with the Ignite, and in last year, even at times, you can tell he came into the league thinking of himself as a guy on ball, a scorer on the ball, right? And the Warriors are trying to change his course, change his route, and his development as a player. It's going to be an interesting case study, man, because at this point, the Warriors have the luxury. I know we've been complaining about the playing time and the two timelines, but because of Steph, this system, and the dynasty that it is, they have the luxury to kind of force him down that route. Like, hey, you won't play then, right? Like, it'd be very hard to force him down this route on the Pistons, right? But the Warriors can force him down this route to being this efficient, toolsy player that just plays within the margins. But it's going to be an interesting case study long term, because we know this isn't going to last forever, right? And we see all these physical attributes. He's as gifted as anybody in the league physically. And you hear his teammates allude to that, right? But is he going to take more of a Kawhi route long term, or an Andre Iguodala route long term? And I'm not saying he's ever going to reach what those guys are or were, but just because he's flashed some real playmaking potential. He has good vision, right? Is he going to go the route that the Warriors are trying to nudge him towards, as being this, again, really versatile all-around player? Or if he moves on from this team, or the system changes, does he kind of just go back to more focusing on being an individual player, a scorer, an assassin, and maybe a really good on-ball defender? We'll see, man. But, as far as his growth right now and the positivity, the rebounding, I think, is what sticks out to me, because, this is a very common trait. When you have bounce like that, when you're that athletic, you usually don't box out. It's just not something you've ever had to do coming up. And I know Kuminga was late to basketball, right? He hasn't played a ton of hoops, but, when he's in high school and even in the G League, he doesn't have to box out to get his rebounds, right? And so he hasn't. And that's what you saw in Dallas the other night. He didn't just get 10 rebounds. He got some positional rebounds where he was actually boxing out, and it wasn't just because of his bounce, right? And it's funny because you see the bench reactions. That's kind of been a storyline this year, whether they're celebrating or not. Now they're I think very cognizant of it, and they're celebrating a lot. The reactions from the bench, they will react bigger, louder, and more extreme when Kuminga makes the right play, the extra pass, the right rotation, especially the vets, right? As opposed to a dunk in transition, right? Or he comes down the baseline and just kisses the rim, literally, right? Because they know that's God-given. He ain't got to try to do that, right? He was just in the right spot at the right time. His cutting has been really good. I don't want to take that away from him, that timing. But you notice that the vets, they're encouraging and they're celebrating playing the right way and how they want him to play. And so it's very encouraging moving forward. You wonder how tight this leash is, and if I hate using that term, but it's just coach talk. Like how is he going to be allowed to make mistakes? How firmly is he in this rotation? Because we've kind of seen this before, and we know Kerr, that there's the depth here. He can play with it, but Kuminga's proven that even if he's going to make some mistakes, he makes plays. And I think his ratio right now is a positive one. So they got to leave him out here. Moving forward, as the trust grows and he sticks to these fundamentals, making the extra pass, and then defensively doing what he needs to do, his switching has been impressive. He's shown the ability to make quick, decisive reads on the floor on both ends, and that we know how important that is for this Warriors team. Again, as the trust grows, I'd love to see him grab and go like Draymond. We've seen how effective that pace has been. If he's playing at that 4 spot and he's rebounding better, if he can grab and push with that speed, it could be real interesting, right? And you've seen now he kind of grabs and he slows down, he waits. Again, the trust isn't there yet. I think the question with that will be eventually when he's doing that is, can he control his speed? He's shown that he has vision, and we've seen him try to make the right play. Handle isn't as tight as it needs to be, right? And again, he's so fast, it's harder to control that speed. But eventually, the grab and go capabilities is going to open up the rest of the offense. And there's a potential for him to be, again, a guy that gets you 14 points, 8 boards, 6 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. I mean, a stat stuffer like Shawn Marion was in his prime, right? The Matrix 2.0. And so I said it in yesterday's breakdown, right? I think the majority of us felt, big picture, yeah, it was a frustrating loss, especially against the Ponzi scheme that Luka Doncic is running down in Dallas. But big picture, Kuminga's kind of low-key coming out party and showing that him contributing down the stretch, playing late, trumped the loss, right? Because if they're going to get this contribution and he's going to be able to step into this rotation, and look, we're not going to expect he's going to average a double-double off the bench, but if he can contribute on a nightly basis and be that big body defender, add some athleticism, we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. Who do they got? Chicago Friday, and then Houston. That Houston team is a spicy young bunch, right? That club team coming into Chase. But yeah, I'll be back to cover that stuff. As always, please hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.